Oh, greetings! Welcome to Catfish Corner over here, and I'm Catfish Franklin, and today's story is called The Perp-Walk Testimonies. But before I get to that, I would just like to thank you for stopping by here on YouTube, and I would like to thank my patrons on Patreon. I mean members. I think they're called members now. Thank you. Okay, so today's story, the Perp-Walk Testimonies. So this is kind of a deep dive on one of the articles from the last episode. As I was doing that episode, I kind of realized I'd read this article a bunch, but there's some more stuff I want to get into with one article in particular, and that video is already too long. But this article here, it is just so weird. I mean, okay, so this article is "To See His Dying Mother," February 19th, 1896, St. Louis Post-Dispatch. And this is the second article in the series that we read last time, where the first one they just mentioned in the paper that Stack Lee went to go see his sick mom. The next day, this article comes out where they claim that his mother has been dead for 12 years. And then 10 days after this article, there's some follow-up articles because our friend Deputy George Thompson was getting into trouble for taking Stack Lee out after it came out that his mother was dead. And Deputy George Thompson is the only black deputy sheriff, they point out in one of the articles. So him and Deputy Sheriff Langford were the guys that accompanied Stack Lee out of jail on this trip. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to reread through this article and point out some things, because the more I read this, the weirder it gets. This reporting is just so oddball. And what are they really saying here? So let's just get into it and dive in. And the first thing that I want to point out, this won't even come up as I'm reading through because they never give any evidence for Stack Lee's mother being dead like they're claiming here. No evidence. They don't say who said it. They don't say where they got the information from at all. So that's pretty weird. And the other thing is, as we go through this, there's 5 people we want to keep in mind because we're going to be visiting these people a few times, and that is Sheriff Troll, Deputy Sheriffs Langford and Thompson, Jailer Wagner, and Coroner Waite. So those are all characters to keep your ears peeled for. So let's go through this here. To see his dying mother, murderer Stack Lee was taken from the jail. She died 12 years ago. He visited his mistress and bought drinks in the saloon where he murdered Will Jones. Okay, so that's a big biff right there to begin with. It's, as we all know, it's William Lyons. I don't know where they get Jones from, because as we go through this article, it's clear that they are talking about William Lyons. But they call him Will Jones on this day. Okay, so Stack Lee, indicted for the cold-blooded murder of William Jones in Bill Curtis's saloon on last Christmas Day, was taken from the St. Louis jail Sunday by Deputy Sheriffs Thompson and Langford to see his dying mother. His mother has been dead 12 years. Lee told a Post-Dispatch reporter Wednesday morning that he was taken to 2921 Bell Avenue to see his dying mother and remained 4 hours. Deputy Thompson told the reporter that Lee was taken direct to 921 North 12th Street to see his dying mother and remained from jail about 2 hours. Okay, so right here, this is a good thing to note. Right off the bat, we have Stack Lee saying that they were gone for 4 hours and they went to 2921 Bell Avenue. Thompson says that they were gone for 2 hours and they went to 921 North 12th Street. 2921 Bell Avenue and 921 North 12th Street is Thompson's. Okay. Lee says that he was taken direct to the house on Bell Avenue and straight back to jail, not stopping to talk on the way. Thompson says that the prisoner was taken to the White Lion Saloon on 11th Street near Lucas Avenue before being returned to jail because Lee's father works at the White Lion and Lee wanted to see him. Okay, there's another thing right there. Lee says that they went straight to the house and came straight back, and Thompson says they went to the house, but they also went to the White Lion Saloon where Lee's dad works. And as you'll see, they both stick to their stories. Although I guess they're actually just kind of rephrasing what is quoted later on. But let's continue. Stack Lee's correct name is Lee Shelton. He has a woman known as Lily Moore. She lives at 921 North 12th Street. Okay, that's the same address where Thompson says they went. And that's where this Lily Moore, Stack Lee's girlfriend, lives. According to Thompson's statement, a woman was found sick in bed at 921 North 12th Street who referred to Lee as my boy and seemed much affected. Monday morning, after the humane courtesy shown the murderer, deputies Thompson and Langford gave a pathetic account of the scene in the death chamber. It is robbed of its pathos by the statements of police officers and others who saw Lee and his custodians on the street Sunday afternoon. Okay, now this is where things really get dicey. Okay, they claim some other people saw them, and then they go into this business here, which they don't cite anything for a while here. So let's just go on. They met some people on the street claim they saw Lee and Thompson and Langford walking around. Okay, as the story goes, Lee and his guards and Lily Moore left the woman's house and went to a place of assignation on Morgan Street between 11th and 12th Streets, where they remained some time. That's probably Bill Curtis's saloon. That is on that block. 1101, I believe it is. Where they remained some time. When they came out, they made a round of the saloons, which is the toughest spot in St. Louis. At Bill Curtis's saloon, where the crime was committed, Lee made every one of his friends and the friends of his victim take a drink. Okay, this is getting weird. Let's just keep going. The Moore woman had been sent home. Lee spent $2 at Curtis's saloon. Afterward, on the street, the three men having returned for the woman, the party met two policemen on 11th Street, between Morgan Street and Franklin Avenue. The policemen were somewhat surprised as Lee, it is stated, was not even handcuffed. Okay, this is tricky. This sounds like a witness, but this is really tricky. They don't say who the two policemen were. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I have dabbled in journalism, and this is a tricky sentence right here. Sorry about that, the old laundry alarm. Okay, this is a tricky statement. The policemen were somewhat surprised as Lee, it is stated, was not even handcuffed. Okay, so they don't say the policeman said that. Like the policeman said he wasn't handcuffed. They say it is stated, which could mean that someone else said that those policemen saw that to the reporter. That is a real dicey sentence that seems like it's trying to cover up the fact that it's not a quote. Okay, Lee was finally returned to the jail without mishap, although the chances were good, while Lee was in the neighborhood, for rescue at the hands of his friends, or summary justice from the friends of the man he murdered. For all this, Lee is said to have remarked he paid $25. Okay, this whole business. Yeah, listen to that. For all this, Lee is said to have remarked he paid $25. That is said to have remarked. Like, Lee said, for all this, Lee said he paid $25. Now, this is very, very questionable writing. I think the author is taking some liberties here. Of course, I don't know. But all of which is denied by Deputy Sheriff Thompson, who says the entire story is a fabrication. Okay, now this is, at least the way it's written, this is a quote from Deputy Thompson. So now this is an actual quote. This is good stuff. "In the first place, I do not drink," said Thompson, who is the only colored man on Sheriff Troll's staff of deputies. Quote, "We went direct to the place where Lee said his mother was, and stayed there about an hour. A woman was in bed who called him 'my boy.' Whether she was his mother or not, I don't know. We stopped at the White Lion Saloon because his father worked there. We did not take a drink the entire time, and did not take any woman to any house. The whole story is maliciously false. Saturday, Chief Deputy Sheriff Hubler told me he thought I had better take Lee to see his mother, as she was dying. I said, all right, I would, if he thought best. I told Jailer Wagner we were going to take Lee out, and he said all right. We signed for him and returned him in the same condition as when he went out, perfectly sober. It is customary under such circumstances to take prisoners out because it is only humane." End quote. Okay, that is what Deputy Thompson says. Seems reliable? I don't know. Let's continue. Chief Deputy Hubler confirmed Thompson's statement as to the manner in which Lee's departure from jail was brought about, and added that the news of his mother's illness was brought to the four courts Saturday by two of his friends. A petition had also been presented, and Judge Edmonds had given his verbal approval. Okay, that isn't an actual quote, but they are saying that this is what Deputy Hubler said directly. So, that is his account. He's kind of just trying to cover his butt on how it happened that Lee was able to leave jail. So, let's continue. Now we're getting on to the quotes from Stack Lee. Lee was asked by a Post-Dispatch reporter Wednesday how he enjoyed himself Sunday. "I went to see my dying mother." Question: "Where did you go to see her?" Answer: "To 2921 Bell Avenue." Question: "How long did you remain, and what did she say to you?" Answer: "We stayed about 4 hours. She was too sick to talk to me much." Question: "What is the matter with her?" Answer: "Just worrying over this trouble of mine. I never took no drink and never stopped in no saloon. We came right back to jail. Some of my friends saw me on the street, but I never talked to them." End quote. Okay, now this is interesting. Lee gives the address, 2921 Bell Avenue, and listen to his dodgy answer here about what's the matter with her. "Just worrying over this trouble of mine." That's all he says, when apparently she was dying. And two of his friends came in with a petition to allow him to go see his mother who was dying. Kind of stinks of a plan of jailbreak to me, but we don't know. Yeah, she's just worrying over this trouble of mine. I never took no drink and never stopped in no saloon. We came right back to jail. Interesting. Some of my friends saw me on the street, but I never talked to them. It's weird. It's almost like he's like getting defensive here or something. I mean, I kind of read it that way, but I mean, it's like, why is he saying this? The guy asked, "What is the matter with your mom?" But anyway, let's go on. Sheriff Troll was asked by a Post-Dispatch reporter Wednesday if he was going to investigate. "I will if there is anything in it," replied Captain Troll. On top of the Stack Lee affair, a story is being told about the four courts that Deputy Sheriff Will Troll on Sunday afternoon signed for Ross Lockman, sentenced to 2 years for grand larceny, and took him from the jail to the top floor of the four courts where 2 girls were awaiting them. To this story, Will Troll replied Wednesday, quote, "On Sunday a young lady came to me and said she was Lockman's sister. He was going to the pen and she wanted to see him. I got a pass from jailer Wagner and took her in. That was all there was to it," end quote. Judge Edmonds stated to the reporter that he did not know of Lee's removal. About a week ago, he told Chief Deputy Hubler, with reference to another case, that the prisoner was in the custody of the sheriff and out of the court's jurisdiction, and that if the sheriff would place the prisoner under strong guard and safely return him to jail, there would be no objection to his temporary removal. End of the article there. So that's interesting. So I feel like earlier he said that he had verbal approval, and he's probably referring to this other case there where they let a guy go out, and then he was like, well, he said it was okay for that guy if we kept him under guard, and it's not in his jurisdiction, and that also we won't get poo-pooed if we do it that way. So that's that. But of all this, what I find the most interesting, besides the fact that they don't talk about where they got the information that his mother is dead, I have never found any information on who his mother actually is. So I haven't been able to follow that lead yet. But the most interesting thing is this business about the 2 accounts of Thompson and Lee, which is really the facts as best we have them in this story. And the differences are, Lee claims they went straight to 2921 Bell Avenue and were there for 4 hours and came straight back. Deputy Sheriff Thompson claims they went to 921 North 12th Street first and then went to the White Lion Saloon to visit Stack Lee's dad, and then came back and were gone about 2 hours. I don't feel like any of the other policemen reports of people seeing them, I don't think that's credible, really, the way this is written. But why? One of them is lying. Why? That is the interesting thing. Now, I would tend to think it's Stack Lee, but what's the point? Why would he be lying? He never says anything about his mom being dead there. Just dying, which is all that, Thompson claimed that they saw a woman that he thought was dying, but one of them is clearly lying about the address they went to. And what is with the saloon? What does Thompson have to gain by claiming they went to the saloon? And what does Lee have to gain by claiming that they didn't go to the saloon? It doesn't make any sense to me. It is so weird. But one of them is lying. Who is it? I don't know. Whew. But that is why I wanted to revisit this story before we move on. I still got a few of these things. We're mowing through them, but there's just so much weird stuff with Stack Lee. Well, I guess that's it. Next time we're going to get onto an interesting one too, which is somewhat of a tangent, but it's a newspaper article that comes out the day after this one that we just read. Meaning it's before the last ones we read in the last video. So these guys are having a rough week. Deputy Sheriff Thompson in Langford, and Coroner Waite and Jailer Wagner, and Sheriff Troll. This is interesting. So anyway, thank you for stopping by. If you've been able to sit through all this, and well, I'll see you next time. Oh wait, I forgot to plug the Patreon page. And to say also subscribe and like if you'd like to, and comment and share. And yeah, check out my Patreon if you want to. Okay, this time for real. I'll see you next time.